Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Tuesday night stream for Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball 2021, our developer Dynasty series. As we've been showing off some of the new improvements coming to the game this year. Certainly appreciate you taking your time to be with us this evening and provide feedback. We have some really exciting things to talk about. I'm just going to start, as always, by thanking our followers. We are closing in on 200 followers. We'll have to do something, some kind of giveaway or something, once we get to 200. So if you've got friends or if you're just tuning into the stream for the first time, get them to hit that follow button here and make sure they have alerts and notifications turned on so that you know when we go live. We've been going live every Tuesday and Friday night at 7:30 for just a half an hour. Tuesdays we've been talking Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball 2021, and Fridays we've been talking Draft Day Sports Pro Football 2021. I especially want to thank our subscribers. We have 2 new subscribers since our last chat. We've got HK2000 and Brymic78. So a huge thank you to you guys for the subscriptions. Those are Prime subscriptions. If you're new to Twitch or you don't know that much about it, kind of like we are at this point, if you have Amazon Prime, you can have a free Twitch Prime link, and with that Twitch Prime, you can have 1 free subscription to a channel every month. So we appreciate the people who use that free subscription on us. It does help support us a little bit for the efforts that we're doing here. And the primary reason, of course, for doing this stream is because we're looking to get feedback from you guys. I'm going to put the message out there just to make sure everybody knows. As always, feel free to put your comments, questions, suggestions, anything you want to talk about in the chat box, and we'll go over whatever you want to discuss and talk about. We've got some things from last week that we want to go over real quick, and then something really cool, really I think it's going to really add to the depth of the game for the 2021 version that I've been working a lot on. So I can't wait to show that off a little bit later in the stream. First things first, last week there was a suggestion here in the chat for during the draft. They wanted to be able to have a search box in the war room. So we've been able to add that. I'm going to turn off the sound so it skips the cutscene here going to the draft. But what we've been able to add as we move into the draft here is this search box up here, so that if you fill out your draft board, and I encourage you to use the draft board, you do the draft board through the workout screen prior to the draft, and that's either you can go on the actual day of the workouts and fill it in, or you can go back, and I can show you that in a minute. But the draft board is a useful feature in helping you to stay organized for the draft. But for the suggestion, we have the search box here so that if you find a player either in the mock draft or your draft board that you were interested in, you can just search by his last name and then find him quickly and easily. And hopefully that'll make things a little bit easier during the draft. I'm gonna have to finish out the draft real quick so I can go back to it. I will just reload this league and show you guys the workout screen real quick if we can, and how you add players to the draft board, because I think the draft board maybe gets overlooked in some cases. So as soon as the draft finishes up here, we'll be able to take a look at that. We'll just reload the league. And again, this is that the addition of the search box there was just driven by a user in the chat last week. So I mean, if you've got even small suggestions like that, you can put them in here, and I'll get to work on it if it's something I can do. The alerts let you know what's going on that day. By the way, if you're not familiar with what that alert button is up there, on the day of the draft, you can go to your email box and click on that draft email, and the workout button is active. So you can go back to the workout screen. Now, when I was simming through this, I didn't do any workouts. You can see that the invites are still remaining up there. But you can still add players to the draft board here. So if you need help, it can always show you what to do. You just click on a player, highlight them, click add to the draft board. And then again, if you roll over that help on the draft board, if you click the players, it will swap their positions on the draft board. So after you kind of add all of your players that you're interested in to the draft board, then you can click them and order them so that when you go into the draft, you've got all these players. And then as the draft moves on, it will cross them out in your war room on the draft board for players who are gone. So that will help keep things organized. We can show you that real quick. We'll just add the couple top players here so that we'll show what it does. So that we'll open the war room up, and now you can see on the draft board these players that have been selected are crossed out. The players that are still available are not crossed out, and now with the search feature, you can type the player and find them quickly and be able to make your selection. So I appreciate that suggestion that came last week here. And it's if we have other ideas for the draft, I think the draft is pretty strong. It's kind of my favorite feature in the game. I've spent a lot of time over the years developing the draft. There's always ways that it can be improved and tweaked and things like that. So if you have suggestions for the draft, you can put them here in the chat room or hit me up, and we'll talk about that. Comment from Breeze837. Could you guys add a G League select team that has a few top draft prospects on it? That way we can scout them during the season to prep for the draft. So that is, there was somebody actually contacted me this week too in regard to something like that. Here's the issue with the adding another team. The way that the D League is set up in the game, there's 32 teams, so that if you expand the league to 32, each team is linked to one team, and it gives each team an affiliate. Which I always felt that the NBA, eventually every team would have its own affiliate. They're doing this new G League select team where it's giving players the opportunity to skip college and get paid, but this team isn't part of the G League. They're not playing a full schedule. There's going to be veterans on that team that are no longer pursuing an NBA career, but they're going to be kind of on this team, and they're going to play like a handful of games against other G League teams and some other exhibition games and stuff like that. And it's supposed to be some sort of like mentorship type thing where they're having some education and some training and some practicing and stuff like that, and preparing them for the NBA after that in lieu of their freshman year in college. So the ability to add a select team to the D League teams here is probably not possible, but the idea might be that the concept of having top draft prospects that skip the draft or skip the rookie pool in there and go right into the G League. That's possible. So that's something that I'm considering. So thank you, Breeze837, for that suggestion. So it is something that's on my radar and something that I want to think about a way to incorporate the concept of having players who are not part of the draft pool. As you can see when you go up here to the scout draft screen, you'll see the players that were in the draft pool or coming into the next draft pool. So I have been thinking about a way of how we could have players skip this section here and not be in the guys who are being simulated in college, and how they could just be part of the D League teams, and then maybe have maybe there'll be an option here on the screen where you can see who those select players are, or something like that, so you can kind of track them without having to track each individual team. But it'll be. I think there could be some sort of hybrid that works between having to rip everything down and try to fit another team in there, or and have them be this sort of in existence but not part of the actual league, because like I said, that select team is not going to be part of the league and playing a normal G League schedule as of right now. While I have the draft scouting page up, this is going to be a good segue into the big thing I wanted to get into tonight. This screen has changed a little bit. I've put the team drop down over here on the right side of the screen and added this drop down over here where right now it just says probable draft pool. But again, maybe if we add the select team, we can add a filter here which would show us the select players. And we can do something like that on this screen. But this drop down is for a different reason. Now I'm going to go to the main menu, because one thing I've worked a lot on this past week is I really wanted a deeper experience with the game in terms of the college side of it. So what I have done is I'm expanding the capabilities with Draft Day Sports college basketball. So for those of you who are not familiar with it, if you own Draft Day Sports College Basketball 2020, you can link the leagues together. You can also do them separately and just export draft classes from college basketball if that's what you want to do. But if you link them together, there's going to be a whole lot of new stuff in Pro Basketball 2021. And that's going to be really cool. I'm about to show it off here. I have been doing the coding on the college side in College Basketball 2020. So if I will produce an update at some point to College Basketball 2020 that will be capable of working with Pro Basketball 2021. Since the release stages are different, Pro Basketball always comes out around the start of when the NBA season would start, and then typically the college basketball game is released in February or so, maybe before we would get to March Madness. So in order to take advantage of these new capabilities I'm working on, College Basketball 2020 will be able to have this enhanced capabilities of communicating with Pro Basketball 2021 in order to really give you a much deeper feel for the two games working together and giving you an expanded basketball universe. So what you do is, if you need instructions on how to link the leagues, you can go to the help screen in Pro Basketball. And if you scroll down here a little bit, there are steps to follow to do a linked league. So you're going to create a league in college basketball, and then when you log into that league, you're going to drop down this upper menu and choose game options there. And there's a tab to turn on now in College Basketball 2020 that will tell it that it's a linked league. Because if you don't turn that on, it doesn't produce the data, and it takes a little bit longer. And that data is produced anytime you save in college basketball 2020. So I would recommend, obviously you have to follow these steps here, but after you play out some of the season in college basketball 2020, and it's in step 3 here, it says play some of each league, making sure to save the college basketball league as you go, because when you save it and you have that option turned on for the linked league in college basketball, it produces a database file that the pro basketball then reads. So what I've done here now is I've added an additional file to the college game that's going to give us a lot more data information. So the first thing is if you go to the standings page, and again, this is a linked league. I've linked this league in pro basketball with a league in college basketball 2020. So on the pro basketball league standings page, you'll be able to drop down here, and all of the college divisions will be in there. So you'll be able to click on any of the league, the different conferences, and you'll be able to see how those teams are doing. You'll be able to get the records of them, and this is really sort of the goal here of providing more data and more information that you can pull out of the college game, so that if you want the college game just to be a source of depth for your pro league and feel like you've really got a full college league as opposed to just draft classes, you can run the college league. You can set up a league, set up a player for yourself, and don't put yourself on a team. Don't coach a team, and just simulate through following the steps that were in the help menu there. And that will allow you, if you simulate it, it'll allow you to have a full college experience here. And I'm interested in feedback here on what other information you'd like to be able to see in the pro game that exists in the college game. So you don't have to switch back and forth and look at all the standings in the college game, for instance. You're going to be able to look at those here in Pro Basketball 2021, and not only can you follow along obviously with the league that you're playing and the development league that goes on here, but also you'll be able to really feel that you have this other college universe behind you rather than just a draft class. So a question from BRI Mick 78, one of our new subscribers, so thank you for that. Can you just make it so people can sim a set number of seasons at once in the college game instead of going through the steps? It doesn't have to. If you wanted to sim out multiple seasons in the college game and have draft classes, you could do that, but it won't. That's not going to work for it being linked. The seasons have to be run at the same time, so that it's pulling the data. It's as if they were concurrent seasons, just like in real life. And if you can even sim toward the same dates, like in the college league this is linked to, I've simmed to February 1st there, and then I've saved it, and that way in the pro game it's also February 1st, and it's pulling in timely data that way. Question from GM Games Chris. And a huge shout out to GM Games as always. Thank you for all the support there. Question: how did you decide the order of the dashboard players? Is it alphabetical, the preference from the community? At first thought, I think I'd be more likely to sort by stars. It is alphabetical by last name. So I'm using the one of the community roster mods just for testing purposes. So the dashboard is set up by last name. I don't know. I think sorting by stars might be hard to find players. I don't know. It's something we can play around with. But back on the linked league point, if we go back to the scouting page, now I showed this drop box earlier. Now all the teams are going to be here too if you're linked. So again, you have to link this league to college. You have to have college basketball 2020 or later on college basketball 2021 to do this. But all the teams will be linked here so that you can click on them and you can find all of the players in the league. So rather than having just one incoming draft class that the non-linked leagues produce, they just produce one draft class at a time. Here, if it's linked, you'll have an entire college universe, so an entire list of players to track over time. So there'll be and again, this is just a work in process still. There'll be a link here that'll show the top players, who are probably going to go in the draft pool. So this note up here says all the seniors will be eligible, and the underclassmen may or may not declare. So right now, the top scorer in the league is Junior Barr from Philadelphia. So if I want to find out more about him, I can find his team. I can find, oops, that's the wrong Philadelphia. I can find his information here. I see 6'4", 220, a sophomore. He shoots 42%, 33 from 3. He's averaging 25.8. And the WSSN, the Wolverine Studio Sports Network, projects him to be a 3.5-star player. So this will give you the full set of data that's in Draft Day Sports College Basketball 2020 without going back to the game and constantly looking for those guys. So I think that I'm really excited that it's going to be able to pull in this data now and give you, a full list of players to track. So it's not just, the players who will be in the draft class. You might look at this guy and take a look here and find this Dwayne Slade here, 6'9", 250 freshman, and he's averaging 12.2 points, and he's a 3-star player. You might find a player like that, and you'll be hoping he comes into the draft. And if he doesn't come into the draft in the next season, he'll still be in the works, because he'll be part of the college basketball league file that just turns over, and he'll be there again next season for you to watch and continue to see how he improves and see when he'll enter the draft, as opposed to the non-linked leagues, which create a draft class just like any other game. They create a draft class, those players get drafted, and then you move on. So this ability to link the leagues, it does require you to have the college game and to do the simulation and push forward the season in college, but it's going to link up this information and try to display the most important things in pro basketball so that you don't have to go back. And if there's more things that you would like to see along these lines, let's talk about that for the few minutes we have left. Throughout suggestions, there's a couple things in the chat box here from Tim. Tim is a new follower. Thank you for joining us tonight, Tim. Is a draft board available to place future names? It's not, but I like that idea. I like, maybe having some method of tagging players that you want to keep an eye on. So I'm going to make a note of that right now, so that if you do find guys like, for instance, if you were interested in this Dwayne Slade guy, you could tag him and maybe be able to follow his career a little bit easier. Maybe even have a list up here of your tagged players, so you could see them all in one location or something like that. But I think that having this information pulled in is going to really expand the depth for looking at the draft. Thinking about trading future picks. Because you might find a player, who you're waiting for. Todd Johnson. I'm sure he would come out in the draft because he's a 5-star prospect from Durham here, and he's a sophomore. He would probably be in the next draft class. But if for some reason he didn't, you could tag him and follow him along, and you have to figure out, okay, is he going to leave? Do I want to trade? Do I want to trade my first-round pick next year where I could get this guy? Or could he be a guy who's 2 drafts away now, and I want to trade for a future first-round pick because I want to have a better shot at getting him later on. So I think not only does it increase the depth of the game, but it increases the strategy as well, as you kind of think about, how will these, who will be in the next draft class? Obviously the seniors will be, but the underclassmen, you have to wait and see if they declare. So having this as an option, you know, gives you another thing to think about, another option and an avenue for strategy. So definitely a way to track players that you want to keep an eye on. Obviously, we have the in-game note system, the notepad where you can take notes and do that. But I do think trying to build in some sort of system where you could tag players would be useful. I also think maybe there could be additions to the media page here where you could, maybe we can drop down and get news from the college landscape about players who are doing really well, or players who might leave for the draft or anything like that. That's a possibility that could be added in here. There's really a number of things that can be done. So if you do have suggestions on how you would like to see those leagues linked together better, throw them at me either here or Twitter, Facebook, on the website, the forums, whatever is comfortable for you. But this is going to be a big thing in terms of really expanding the depth of the league. Now, if you don't have the college game, or you don't want to get the college game, the game is still going to generate draft classes as it always has. So this is just an expansion to the feature of being able to link to the college game. Breeze 837 I asked this earlier, but for a player's career stats year by year, does it show what team that player played for? Are you talking for college players or the pro players? Because in either case, the answer is yes if it's a linked league. Okay, pro players, yes. If you click on, you just go to the roster. Let me go back to the league that was at the draft. So there's a season built in already. I can pull that up for you. But the player card does track all that information. So if you click on the player card, you'll be able to click here. He was in the D League. That's why he's got two things for that. But it'll show you every season by season. If they get traded, it will even show you the breakdown per team for that season. So I don't know if I can find somebody who was traded on any of these teams. So here we go. So 2020, he had 49 games with Toronto and 54 with Portland. So you can see the breakdown even within a season of where a player played. If you have a linked league, like we were talking about earlier, if you've done the linked league option, it will bring in the college stats as well. So on their player card, it should show you their collegiate history from simming out in Draft Day Sports College Basketball 2020. And again, if you're interested in this linked feature and you don't own the college game yet, right now is a great time to go get it in the web store, because we've just the prices have been lowered on all of our games as we get ready for the 2021 versions. But like I said, I've built this capability into Draft Day Sports College Basketball 2020. So there will be an update. So if you buy, obviously I would hope you buy 2021 when it comes out. But if you just want it because you want to have this depth and you're not really a fan of the whole college game, and you don't want to really play and experience everything that it has to offer, and you just want it for the linked purposes, now is a great time to go get it because the price has been reduced in the web store. So that's really all the time we have tonight. I mean, time just flew by. Breeze, one more question. What price range will this game be when it comes out? The games our new releases are always $34.99. We always have a discount too if you purchase during what we call first access, which gives you a discount code to purchase early, and you get your hands on the beta copies of the game and help us test it along as we go prior to the final release of the game, at which point it turns into the full price. Um, so again, this 30 minutes just flew by. I'm really excited about this linked league feature and really expanding it. So if you've got ideas that you want to talk about, other ways, other data you want to see come in, other things you want to see the leagues do and talk to each other, throw them out, because I'm working on, I've been working a lot with that. I'm really excited about that, and I'm really focusing on that at the moment. So if you have suggestions for that, now is the perfect time to get them in. I want to thank everybody who came out tonight. I appreciate, the viewers. I appreciate the conversation. Last comment there from Tim, integrate coaches. That's something that's a possibility too. The game would have to talk back to the college game. Right now, the pro game is doing mostly just pulling from the college game. It's not so much pushing anything back. But again, that could be something that could work in maybe college basketball 2021, because that would take a good deal of work to make it talk back to that, so it knows what coaches are being pulled or coaches moving from the pro ranks to the college ranks. So that's an idea to definitely keep an eye on. Thank you, everybody. Thank you especially to our subscribers and our new subscribers and our new followers. We appreciate all the support that you're giving us as we kind of get our feet wet and get situated here on Twitch. We hope you're enjoying the developer dynasties, as we're really finding them very useful to get feedback, real-time feedback on what we're doing. So I hope that we'll see you again next Tuesday, and see you Friday night at 7:30 for the Pro Football 2021 Dynasty. So thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight, and have a great rest of your week. We'll see you Friday.